Hey, what's up guys? This is Fahad, and this is the third part of my series on how to get into the JET program. And we've already covered on basically what you should be doing before you apply, kind of how you should be prepping throughout your college experience, I guess. We talked about the application itself, and now we're actually going to get into the interview process. Now, just to get to this point is pretty hard in and of itself, so if you got here, I mean, you did pretty damn amazing. I mean, you basically, out of thousands of applicants, you've been selected to actually show up. So this is pretty big. At this point, they already like who you are. They like what you are on paper. Now they want to see you in person, right? So now they want to see, like, all right, so we have this guy who basically says he's this. His teachers say he's this. Now let's see what he's actually like in person, right? So it's kind of like, just like a job interview, right? You put in a resume. If they like what they see, they call you in for an interview. That's essentially what this is. A couple of things to know how the process works, like how you actually get the result. As far as how it went for the US, they sent out a giant PDF document with your JET identification number, which they basically, if you guys remember, I talked about in the first video. You send in a postmark envelope, and in that envelope you get your JET like the ID number. That number is what they actually how you find out whether or not you get in. So you get this email. It's a giant PDF document with all the numbers that got accepted, and basically you just want to Command F if you're on a Mac, I guess Control F if you're on a PC, and type in your number to see if your number's on there and you've been selected. If it is, great, you've been selected. If not, that pretty much means unfortunately you are out. So, you know, let's see. So you got selected, your number's on there, awesome. You know, you just totally celebrate just that fact, right? But as far as the preparation process itself goes, this is where I think a lot of interview preparation is really important. I mean, ask your colleagues to mock interview you about it's gonna be general questions. I'll get into the questions a little bit later, but so yeah, ask your teachers and stuff like that to interview you, to kind of get practice on how to answer questions on the fly with the knowledge that you already have. That's going to be the key. So basically, things to know are you're going to be interviewing at your consulate location. So for me, from Texas, it was in Houston. Unfortunately, that meant it was a 3-hour drive. However, that's not nearly as bad as some people I know had to come in from like Oklahoma. Now that has to have been like a flight or something. It would have been really, really bad. And they don't compensate you for that, so that's on your dime. So you're going to do that. You're going to have a voucher. In this voucher, basically, you're going to have a passport size photo. You're going to have your name written on the back, your full name, I believe. And, you do not forget that voucher. That is your ticket into getting into the consulate. That's basically how the security guy at the door knows that you're here for the interview, right? So you got to have that. And I think you actually, if I remember correctly, you take it into the interview room itself too. So that's very, very important. Do not forget that. There's some other required documents like that they're gonna basically follow up with you, and the JET person of your consulate is gonna be in communication with you and constantly giving you updates on what's going on. You actually have, as far as our situation was, we got to when they released the interview dates, we got to reserve the times. Basically, what happened was we could pick the best 3 times that we liked, and if the earlier you did it, your higher preference would you get that. So I actually ended up getting I think there were 2 days of interviews, and I think I got day 2 like just right after lunch. So I was pretty happy with that. I didn't want to go day 1. Actually, I couldn't go day 1 because I was on like a cross America road trip. It was pretty badass. Like I went from I drove from San Antonio to San Francisco, which is like a 2-day drive. Then from San Francisco, I went to stayed there for 3 days. Went to LA, Vegas, the Grand Canyon, up all the way down to Orlando and Disney World, which was really awesome. And on the way back to San Antonio, I stopped in Houston and took my interview. So that's exactly what I wanted, because I didn't want to cut my road trip short. But anyways, pick the time that's right for you. I think that they're human beings, right? The interviewers, so stuff matters. You know what I mean? If before lunch, they're kind of like, damn, I'm hungry, whatever. Their mood might be bad, whatever. If it's too early, it might be like, I'm kind of tired. If it's too late in the day, then they might just be like, dude, I just want to go home. So you kind of want to aim for that sweet spot, like, in my opinion, right after lunch, or an hour or so after lunch, when, they've been kind of rested up, they got recharged, and they're in a good mood. The energy level's back up. Or I think better than later in the day would be earlier in the day, when basically they've had their cup of coffee, their breakfast or whatever, and they're there ready to go. So one of those would be better, I think. That's what you kind of want to shoot for. So like I said before, as far as leading up to the interview, read your, make sure you know your personal statement in and out. Make sure you find weaknesses that you may have, let's grades or something like that, something about yourself that is not necessarily your strong suit, because they might actually bring that up. Read your personal statement, because they actually definitely will reference questions. I got like 3 questions straight out of my personal statement. You basically know, this goes without saying, but know who you are, know what you told them about yourself, so you don't kind of second guess when you're there, you don't stutter, you don't hesitate. It should be like a natural, fluid, it should be a conversation, you know what I mean? It's gonna be 3 people. I had 2 Japanese people and one former Jet, so basically that's kind of like the environment you should expect. When you get there, they're like I said, they're human beings. They're nice. You know what I mean? They're not trying to play hardball. They want to have a conversation, find out who you are, and that's exactly how it went for me. Like I went there and I greeted them. It was super chill. The guy that was the Japanese guy that was interviewing me, like, I don't know what happened, but like his belt buckle, like it literally flew off mid-interview from his, he wasn't fat or anything, it just flew off, and like it rolled under the desk and like right at my feet, and he just turned red, and I was like, oh my god, what just happened? And I kind of just like, I gave it back to him, and I was just like, here you go, you know what I mean? So, it was a cool environment, you know what I mean? So just remember that they're interviewing you, so be professional, but they're human beings. Don't be like mechanical and be a robot. Be yourself, because you're interviewing for a position in which you're going to be mostly teaching people, kids. So be bright, be smiling, be happy, greet them, and be professional. When you walk into the interview room, shake their hands, tell them that thank you for the opportunity, I'm really, really excited, blah blah blah, and then just be confident. Don't come off as cocky, but be confident. Reach that balance. And I know this sounds like, don't do this, don't do that, too much of this is bad, too little of it is, not good enough or whatever. That's why I think you should practice. Practicing interviews is really, really important, because I think one of the most important skills in an interview is just the ability to speak on the fly. You know what I mean? It's like being able to take bullet points that are in your head and turn them into like a conversation. That's, in fact, not just for Jet, that goes without saying for any interview. You want to be able to talk, not just state bullet points, right? And so, that's something that you can get from practice if you're not already good at it. Yeah, so basically, and then they start asking you questions, so the general questions, right? Why do you want to apply to the JET program? Stuff like that. Then they start asking you things from your application itself. Like for me, they asked me, why do you want to go to the Kansai region so bad? And I told them about my experience with Japan and how I kind of just related Southern hospitality, like me being from Texas, to the kind of open, more brash personality of the people of Kansai, and how that just resonated with me, and it just felt like a home away from home. And I guess they like that. So do something that seems genuine. You know what I mean? Don't just come up with like a generic bullshit answer. be yourself, but still try to approach it uniquely. Approach every answer, every question that they ask you uniquely, with a bit like your own little flavor to it. You know what I mean? Now, if you have any Japanese skill, which you should have put on the application, they'll quiz you on that. So I happened to put down that I was advanced speaking ability, advanced comprehension ability, and I put down I was at beginner reading ability, which is, it's pretty damn true. Like, I by no means consider myself anywhere fluent as far as reading goes. The first thing he asked me is like, all right, so we're gonna do the Japanese part. Are you ready? And I'm confident when I speak, but an interview in Japanese, I was like, dude, what the hell is happening? And so I was kind of nervous, but they just start you off with such a baby question. Now, if you wrote down that you don't have no Japanese ability, it totally does not matter. You know what I mean? If you have it, they'll kind of check and confirm. If you don't, you wrote down that you didn't on the application and you're there, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't have it. Now, this part right here is going to be for the people that actually can speak a little bit. So for me, they asked me, 毎日何時に晩ご飯を食べますか? So every day, what time do you eat dinner? And I'm just like, I'm here expecting like, from the history of Japan, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, Are you serious? And so I just answered the question, and I try to be like, and I wanted to show them that I'm not like, I'm a little better than that. So I tell them, every day I don't actually have a set time because I'm working and I'm a student, so I can't really eat at the same time every day, but usually it's about 6 o'clock. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the questions started just picking up, and the last thing he asked me was something like, in a situation that's difficult, what do you think is the most important characteristic a person should have in order to succeed, right? And I'm just like, whoa, that kind of escalated. That escalated quickly from like, what time do you eat dinner? But anyways, I answered that, and so he was happy. They were both happy, and then they gave me this. They're like, all right, so you've done really well in the Japanese part, but we got one more thing, and they pull out this worksheet with just like half a page of just so much stuff, and I'm just like, this isn't gonna work out. And so like I look at it for like 30 seconds, and I just straight honestly tell them like, I'm sorry, I can't actually read this. And they're like, oh yeah, it's okay, no problem. And apparently they have like a point system, so like they have categories, and because the verbiage that he used with me was, you've scored more than enough points for the Japanese section. So I'm assuming that means they have different categories on their little checklist that they're marking on, and you want to reach a threshold of points for each of those sections, right? And apparently Japanese, for me, I ended up doing well enough on that. So then they'll ask you other things. Basically, a lot of it's going to come back to your own personal statement. That's why it's so key to know who you are and what the hell you wrote down, right? Don't go in assuming, because words that you use on your personal statement, the way you say things, there's like a nuance to how you wrote things down, and they could interpret them in a way that they ask you a question, and you should be able to answer that question in line with that kind of nuance that you created. That sounds ridiculous, I know, but I mean, trust me, like you should know everything about your own personal statement, as well as of course other stuff about you. You know what I mean? You're you, so you should already know all that stuff. But keep in mind the way you wrote your personal statement and what you wrote on it. Don't say anything, or don't kind of backtrack or change things up on that, because that's that cold hard proof that they have of what you said about yourself. So don't try and change that stuff up, or create any discrepancies when you're doing your interview with the personal statement. That's what the interview basically is like. Now, I'm not going to go off and give you guys the exact questions that they gave me, because I think I might be getting in trouble for that. And plus, I mean, my questions won't be the same as your questions. They're going to be general questions in the beginning, like I said, why you want to do the JET program, what interest do you have in Japanese, blah, 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 when did you first hear of, or when did you first start getting interest in Japan, and stuff like that. And that's just the basic, right? That's like at any job. Why do you want to work at this company? What made you think of us, blah, blah, blah. Then it starts getting into who you are. So I can't give you questions about, like, that I got, A, because I don't think it'd be ethical, but B, it's just not going to be any useful to you, because my background is completely different from all of you guys. So just know yourself, ask your teachers, ask your professors to do mock interviews with you, because that will really test your thinking on the fly ability. That's so damn important, to have like a fluid conversation. In any interview, you want to be able to have a conversation in which you kind of have an upbeat tempo, a positive kind of glowing attitude, but at the same time, you're not coming off as cocky. And it's like a balance, and it's hard to judge for yourself if you're just kind of thinking about how you would do things, or even doing it yourself in like a mirror or something. But when somebody can look at you and tell you, and specifically criticize, constructively criticize things that you may be doing, and give you, tell you what you're doing right, then you can kind of go back and focus on those points. So it's really, really important to do those mock interviews, and basically let them ask them whatever they want to ask, because if it's not Japan related, that's cool, because then you're kind of learning about that thinking on the fly improvising ability, and that's really, really important, because you may be faced with a question that you're not necessarily prepared for, like, to answer immediately, and the last thing you want to do is have like this weird, awkward, like 5-10 second pause after they ask you something. I mean, think about that, right? So you should practice that ability. So that's really, really important. Now, as far as before like the interview time comes, if it's anywhere not within your city, I definitely recommend going there the night before, getting a hotel, checking out where the interview is going to be. Stuff like that that's basic. So retarded stuff doesn't screw you over. I mean, the last thing you want to do is be late, which automatically disqualifies you, by the way, but be late to something that's so important, like, you know, you're basically almost there. One of your feet is already in the door, right? And like missing the interview because you don't know exactly where it is, or, you know, something like that would be ridiculous. Get plenty of sleep. Don't go trying to eat a super healthy breakfast if you don't normally eat breakfast. You know, keep your routine the same. Don't try to make things extra special because, oh, it's the jet interview. You know, keep things the same so you're kind of, you know, whatever you have, your mojo that keeps you going, isn't all of a sudden like, oh, like weirded out and stuff. So if you eat like, you know, a bowl of like Cocoa Krispies and like, you know what I mean, for breakfast and a banana or something, just do the exact same thing. Don't change things up. If you eat a donut, hell, eat a donut. I don't care. Just keep your same rhythm. That way, like, it for your mind and body, it's like another day. You know what I mean? Just another day. Because you don't want to, you know, get there and have like, you know, a weird upset stomach feeling, stuff like that, right? So that's the last thing that would happen. Of course, take a shit, you know, go pee before the interview because you don't want to have to be, you know, oh my god, I gotta go so bad or whatever. Make sure you do all that basic stuff, right? So just 100% get there the day before. Bring all your necessary documents, especially that interview voucher thing. Do not forget that. And so definitely those are the things that you want to keep track of right before the interview. Now, when you actually get to the interview place the next day, you will basically, as far as I went, right? So I was at the Houston Embassy. It's this gigantic building. You can go on like the freaking 60th floor or something. And when you get up there, you go through this security gate thing where they do like a metal detector check on you. You give them your voucher and you go sit in this first waiting room. Now, I was in this waiting room for about 10, maybe 12 minutes, and from there, I got called into like a bigger waiting room. The next one I think was the real one, because that's where I had two former jets. One of the guys was actually like the recruiter who comes to your university and, you know, talks about the jet program. The other was just a jet who was in Japan for 3 years and he had just gotten back. So, and I think this room is basically just there for you to kind of, you know, relax, because you're going to be nervous no matter how confident you are. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, if not very, to be in the situation that you're in. But those guys are just there to help you out, answer questions, just be calm and talk to them, engage them, because for all you know, they could be, they could have some sort of input for the process of the interview itself, right? So, I mean, just have the conversation, ask them about their experiences. You just talk to them about what their favorite thing in Japan was, blah, 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 blah. Just, you know, a normal conversation. That will not only give them a nice impression, but it'll also help you a lot as far as your nerves goes, because, I mean, you're wearing this suit, you know, you're going in there and you're all like, man, it's nerve-wracking, you know what I mean? You go up there and it's so intimidating. But so this is a great chance to just kind of relax and have a conversation. And as far as my experience goes, I told you guys not to be late, but actually my interviewers were late. My interview was like 20 minutes after the scheduled time, which I didn't mind, but I was just like, this is kind of weird, right? So it kind of started off like on a weird kind of on the wrong foot, not necessarily on the wrong foot, on like a weird kind of vibe. So, but I went in there, the people were super, super nice, and it ended up being a really cool experience. So yeah, those are the kind of steps that you want to follow. Those are the things you want to consider before your actual interview process. You know what I mean? Prepare, have people do mock interviews, know your personal statement. Do not forget that voucher. That is the key. Follow all the instructions that they give you. If you have any questions about something else that you're not sure about, email me, email your consulate, email somebody to confirm. Don't just assume, because the last thing you want to do is have some stupid reason that you got disqualified. Like, you don't want that to happen. Get there the day before, scout the area, make sure you know, get there early because you don't want traffic or something like that to, screw you over. As far as eating goes, your sleeping habits go about it as if it was just another day in your life, just so you don't feel just so nothing can possibly throw you off the next day. Get in their waiting room, engage the people that are in the waiting room. Once you walk into the actual interview, greet them professionally, say hello, tell them how happy you are to be there and how excited you are for the opportunity. Sit down, and now the hardest part is just going to be so much easier said than done, but relax, take a deep breath, and just start talking to them. And like, they're engaging in a conversation with you, because that's what the interview is. Don't look at it as like 3 people on a panel just asking you and like drilling you. Think of it as 3 people that are trying to get to know you, and you're just there having a conversation with them. And last but not least, I kind of want to mention this at the end because it kind of works, I guess. But at the end of my interview, at the end of every interview, they give you a chance to ask the interviewers give you a chance to ask them questions. And this is a great opportunity to leave a good last final kind of lasting impression. And so with me, I had one lady who was a Japanese instructor at Texas A&M, and so I actually engaged in a Japanese conversation with her on what classes they offer at the A&M campus, and what the state of the Japanese department is. That was a really cool dialogue. I asked the alumni. She was like a psychologist, but I was like, so how did your JET program experience affect you there? And the other guy I think he was from some Oklahoma University, and I kind of tied into how long he's been here and teaching, and what he thinks of the students that are that he's teaching and stuff like that. So it's like that thank you note that people give at the end of their wedding ceremonies or whatever for people that come. Leave a little bit of a personal touch so they know that you're not just there to kind of get the job, but you're actually a human being that cares. You know what I mean? You actually consider things. So if you have that touch, I mean, it may not mean anything, but for me personally, I would be really happy if that happened with me. So think about every step that way. Think about how you would feel if somebody did that, right? So ask those questions at the very end to kind of leave that lasting impression. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the interview portion, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this series, and I sincerely wish all of you guys good luck that are applying. If you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to email me, message me, send me a message on Facebook or whatever, and I'd be more than happy to answer all your questions. I have been answering a lot of questions through email and stuff like that, and it's been great. Make sure you guys like my Facebook page, because I'm actually really active on that as well, and you can post on my wall and ask questions, or even send me instant messages or whatever. I prefer not though. But anyways, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment below. Thanks again for checking everything out, guys. Good luck on your JET application. Thanks a lot.